Toronto talking about a weekend to forget for the Lakers. Started Friday in New Orleans. LeBron back off the ankle injury. AD was back after missing 18 games. They played well until a disastrous final 5 minutes when they shot a combined 0 for 6. 0 for 6. So Pelicans rallied for the win. LeBron would say afterwards, when it rains, it pours, and he was right. Didn't even check the forecast. He was just right. So clairvoyant. Lakers Nuggets yesterday. Thunderstorm. LeBron resting the ankle. Watch Nikola Jokic go 38 and 18. Another Lakers loss. That's 6 in a row. And that means that the Lakers are on the outside of the play-on tournament looking in with 4 games to go. Here's Anthony Davis on how we got here.
What could have we have been if I was healthy all year, Bron was healthy, K-Nunn is healthy. Like, you think about those things. We put this team together, look really good on paper, but we haven't had a chance to reach that potential with guys being, in and out of the lineup. So the most frustrating part about, this season is just not being sure of what we could have been.
So, Antoine, you think AD's right? Is health the biggest reason that the Lakers have struggled this season?
Well, I think health is a big part of it. When you miss half the season like he did. But I think what AD should have said is they got to look. This team was built that AD was going to have a monster year, that AD was going to have a deal like Embiid, Jokic, put up monster numbers. We knew LeBron James would be good. But LeBron James ended up having the MVP season. Anthony Davis didn't. This team was built for that. Regardless of whether you want to blame Russ and you want to point out that Kendrick Nunn didn't play and different guys on the team, Anthony Davis was not the Anthony Davis that everybody envisioned, myself included, the season he had. Granted that he was injured, even the games that he played, he hasn't had a dominance and dominating other bigs on the court. Jokic had his way yesterday. There was a prime example. Anthony Davis was active and played well in spurts, but he was not the Anthony Davis that was needed for this roster in play. And also I want to add to this roster did not have the defensive-minded guys that you also needed, and then also the three-point shooting lacked. Well, any LeBron James team has always had excellent three-point shooting around them, and they didn't have that. So it wasn't just about them being healthy. It was about Anthony Davis asserting himself, having a monster year, being one of the top 5 big men in the league, and he was not that. And obviously missing half the season does not help. But LeBron James had the season. We didn't think LeBron James was going to have this monster of a season. We knew LeBron James would be really, really good. But Anthony Davis needed to have the similar type season if they wanted this roster and this team to win at the level that was needed to be a championship contender.
Yeah, Twan, AD's comments go into the category of whatever helps you sleep at night. All right, because when he lays down and he realizes they're not making the playoffs, that's what he's going to tell himself. Hey, we just weren't healthy. Man, if Kendrick Nunn was here, we would have been the bomb. I know that's dated, but, we would have been great. We'd have been on fleek. But no.
Oh, no, don't
also
say
AD,
dated.
This is what I want to hear from AD.
Also dated.
This is what I want to hear from AD.
The bomb.
Real talk. I'm looking in the mirror this summer. Like, I haven't been healthy. All right, I let this team down. Because as few games as he played this year, I think he's played more than he played last year. Like, AD throws out the injury thing like it just one of those, wow, who knew? I just got injured. I couldn't help myself. No, I think you can help yourself. This is too much of a pattern. All right, and AD has to take responsibility or he might get shipped out of town. And this summer, he's got to do whatever he has to do, make whatever changes he has to make, get on LeBron James's regimen, whatever it is. But he has got to commit to coming back healthy, Wilds, because the plan was for LeBron to be able to become the number 2 guy as he got older. Yeah, and LeBron is still playing well enough to be a great number 2. But AD hasn't held up his end of the bargain. So Kendrick Nunn, Russell Westbrook, they got to get Westbrook out of there. I know that. And they got to get younger. But the big thing is AD has to be the AD Wiles that people thought a couple years ago was the second best player in the league.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happening. He played 75 games 5 years ago, and yeah, he played well in the bubble after a months-long break, which served as basically another offseason. But do I think next year Anthony Davis is going to play 70-plus games and then a bunch of games in the playoff and help carry an aging LeBron James to another championship? I don't. So you're talking about AD looking in the mirror. I think LeBron needs to look in the mirror and pull a Magic Johnson and say, next year's plans, I'm not going to be here. And here's the thing. I don't think he needs to move.
Whoa.
I think he needs to move locker rooms or maybe lockers and go over to the Clippers. Why? Oh, wow, that's ridiculous. Go to the Clippers.
Wow.
What about the purple and gold? I don't care about the purple and gold, and the purple and gold doesn't care about LeBron. He's not even making the most recent Mount Rushmore of Lakers. LeBron has bounced around his entire career, and it's not even that big of a bounce. You don't even need to move your house. You just need to put on a Clippers jersey instead of a Lakers jersey. Oh, why? It's ridiculous. Why? Because it has better management, a better coach, Steve Ballmer's hungrier to win, and a better team. Okay. That seems to make more sense in every facet. The idea that the Lakers are going to turn around this entire roster and bring back a bunch of great defensive players and shooters on the cheap and ship out Russell Westbrook for who? It's not going to happen. Whether it's a new coach or a new general manager. We know there's already like tension between LeBron and Lakers front office as it is. So if I was LeBron, I would do what's been successful for me throughout my entire career. When the going gets tough, or at least I realize I've delivered my championship, I'm out. And I think he should go to the Clippers. It makes total sense. He can keep his whole business empire and personal life intact, but just go to a better run team.
So, a little behind-the-scenes info. Wilds had this take last week, but before he got to deliver it, I started yelling at him, and then the segment ended. And I now regret that even more because it actually might kind of make sense. So, Antoine, here's the thing. My initial reaction when Wild said that was, the Clippers? Gross. But the reality is, the last decade, the Lakers. Gross. You realize since Dr. Bus died, we're about to have our 10th postseason since then. There has been 1 year the Lakers won a playoff series. They happened to win the title that year thanks to the brilliance of LeBron James, and Anthony Davis was excellent. That's the same number of years the last decade with a playoff series victory as the Knicks. Only the following teams have fewer: Charlotte, Detroit, Minnesota, Orlando, Sacramento, and Dallas. And Dallas will be removed from the list here in a few weeks. So if you're telling me that you have a terribly run team that's poorly coached, mismanaged roster, all of it. If LeBron wanted to do it, I think the Lakers could be incentivized to do LeBron for Paul George if they believe LeBron's going to leave in a year. Paul has 3 years left. LeBron has 1 year left. Like that, I would understand, even though LeBron's clearly a better player than Paul George, I get why they would do it if they think LeBron's leaving. And the Clippers have shown they did build out the type of roster that you can win with even when your stars are on the shelf for a little bit, at least stay afloat with. So even though my initial reaction was like it felt like acid reflux in my chest thinking of LeBron James in a Clippers jersey, it's not a terrible idea that Wilds came up with, Twan.
It's not a bad idea, but it's something that you guys have to understand that LeBron James is not chasing championships anymore. I'm not making that move with the Clippers to get LeBron James. LeBron James is chasing his records. He's not chasing championships anymore. I know, Nick, I know you would want him to chase championships. That phase of his life is gone. The agenda has changed. The itinerary has changed. He's not chasing championships anymore. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm not making that move at all. LeBron James is chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Point blank, period. Let's just face it. That's where he's at in his career right now. He'll be the all-time leading scorer. We'll have a big ceremony for him next season in a Laker uniform. That's what it's coming down to. I know you guys want to see LeBron James on the big stage. The big stage is over, buddy. It's over.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
I dropped.
Facts. saying it out. Games left for the Lakers, who have the